Welcome to the Gauntlet of Gaming, where these hands are rated E for everyone. Oh my gosh, we didn't go over the path of who's gonna ask you. We'll just see how this works. My name is Malik.
Francis.
I'm John.
Santiago.
Hey, we got it right the first time. Yeah, these hands are rated E for everyone. Blah 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 blah. The usual intro of how we do things. Today we are going to be talking about something very sensitive in the world. Force sensitive, if you will. We will be talking about Star Wars games. It is the month of May, which means that it is Star Wars month. By time you're listening to this, if you listen to this the day it comes out, the next day will be May 4th. So may the 4th be with you all. Now, if you are like myself, you're more interested in the day that comes after that, which is Tuesday, May 5th, which is Revenge of the 5th. Long live the Sith. But regardless of the fact, we recently it was also 501st Day, so there's just Star Wars days popping up all over across May. So
it really is.
We're playing Star Wars
if
games.
If you listen to this on the 8th, Happy Goku Day.
No one cares about that.
I care!
Nobody cares about Goku Day.
It's Star Wars month.
It is indeed Star Wars month. We're not playing Dragon Ball on Twitch. We're playing Dragon or Star.
Dang.
Oh my gosh. All right, you got me there. Fine. We'll play Dragon Ball Fighters. Are you happy?
Games.
Are you satisfied?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyways, before we get into today's discussion about all things Star Wars, let's just cover some housekeeping. First and foremost, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably listening to it either on Spotify or YouTube. If you're listening to it anywhere else, awesome. I didn't even know people listen to us on other platforms than Spotify or YouTube. So I
We have other
appreciate
platforms?
it. Yeah, we have other platforms, but they're just not that big.
Exciting.
So yeah, our podcasts come out every other week. So this is, gosh, I don't even know which podcast this is since the start of quarantine, but long story short, we've been here for a while.
Captain's Log, day 11D7.
Something like that. But yeah, if you're not listening to us on Spotify, most likely you're listening to us on YouTube, which is where we also post our gameplay videos. We also post reactions and reviews of things that happen as they usually happen. There's still a lot of the Final Fantasy Remake stuff that's being posted because I fell off for a week and I wasn't able to upload stuff. So yeah, I'm a week behind on that. But we are getting close to the midpoint of the game as far as YouTube goes. I beat the game on Twitch already. So it's just a matter of time before it gets uploaded. We'll be seeing a lot of Monster Hunter and Star Wars stuff that'll be coming to the channel. More Star Wars than anything because, again, it's May. It is Star Wars month. And in conjunction with our YouTube and Spotify, we also have Facebook and Instagram, which is where we post a lot of notifications of when we posted stuff on YouTube, when we're going live on Twitch, things like that. So if you're not following us there, what are you doing? Like, why are you listening to us but not following us on either Instagram or Facebook? Do you not care? Do you not care about us?
You're only in quarantine.
Facebook.
Wait, didn't you just follow me back on Instagram?
Shut up. That's not what this is all about. But anyways, if you want to follow us on Instagram, we are the Gauntlet of Gaming or the _Gauntlet of _ or something like that. I don't care.
Gaming.
It's too much. It's too much to think about. We're the ones with the glove that says GG, which people to this day still think stands for Glamour Girls or Gossip Girls. I don't know why. How do people not know that GG stands for good game? I don't know.
You should see the GG stage for Smash.
No.
No. It's not as sadistic as my other ones.
I don't know.
That's what you say.
I haven't showed you guys.
I don't trust you.
It's not that I don't trust him. It's just that I'm scared.
Very much so, I agree.
Take my word on it.
If you
Should
had the
we,
same
though?
energy for Smash that you do for Monster Hunter, I'm a little scared.
Yeah, you should be terrified.
He's got chaotic
It's
energy
only
no
like
matter
what-
where he plays.
There's only 2 stages that you guys were like, oh my gosh, what is
Mhm.
I don't know. There was one I really liked, and that was that planet one. That was cool.
I like all the ones I won on.
Regardless of the fact, we're not talking about Smash today. But also, speaking of fear, we also are on Twitter. Take that as you may.
Honestly, though,
We're
it's a
on
whole
Twitter.
nother
We
round.
are the Gauntlet, but it's a 4 instead of an A. It's the _Gauntlet. Links for all of this are in the description of YouTube if you can't find it. That's also where you can find the link to our Teespring, where we have Gauntlet of Gaming swag. So if you want to represent the Gauntlet of Gaming, because of course you all who are listening are a part of us, whether you want to be or not, welcome to the family. So if you want to represent the community of the Gauntlet of Gaming, it is there for you. It's zero profit. We make nothing in return. It's stuff that was made for you by us. So take it with pride and wear it for all your lives. Die in it.
Buy the merch. It makes it legally binding.
Oh man.
That's the same as signing the adoption papers. One of us.
Wait, we're signing something?
No. They signed their life away to us.
Ah,
Yeah. So
we've already done
That's
that. That makes
nice.
sense.
yeah, sign your souls away, become one of us. We have all sorts of cookies, pastries, and other things. So we got you. We'll feed you.
We'll take care of you.
Yeah. Oh, be careful with Francis. But
Yeah, we'll keep you away from Francis.
the rest
How
of
If he
us will
starts
take it.
calling you my child, you better run.
we can't help you after he starts calling you my child.
Oh man. All right. So for the question of the day for those who are listening is what's your favorite Star Wars game? There's a huge collection of Star Wars games. Everyone is arguing which one's the best, which one's the worst, which one's their favorite. And honestly, it's when it comes to favorites and bests and things like that, there's a lot of bias and favoritism that comes into it. But we're curious to hear like what's your favorite Star Wars game? This is a super casual podcast. There's not really like a list of what we're talking about, who's starting and who's ending and what like that. It's kind of just cuff of the gun, just going. And I'll start with this. EA is terrible. EA sucks.
I saw your post.
Yeah, EA sucks. I knew from the moment that EA acquired Star Wars, it was going to be a problem. And holy
Wah, wah.
crap.
Yeah, when I found out EA signed an inclusive deal with Disney for Star Wars, I was like, "Ooh, Disney, that wasn't very cash money of you."
No, it was not.
Oh my gosh. Cause like the whole thing with like and I mean this is Star Wars related, but it's also like an EA issue. It's like, all right, so EA changed the parameters for how Battlefront 2 online works for PS4 and Xbox One and PC. And I'm just like, okay, thanks for informing us of this whenever you decided to do that. And the issue that came from that is that now when I logged into the game after re-downloading it, like we haven't played the game since December.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
So I re-download it and I'm playing, like I try to play it and it's like error code. Your account is invalid. The heck do you mean my account is invalid? What does that mean? What does that even mean? Granted I figured it out. No thanks to EA, but I'm like, man, I was starting to actually like the new Battlefront 2 game when we were playing in December, and I was super excited to be able to come back to it and play it this month. And then that happened, and there was a brief moment where I was like, you know what? Screw this game. I don't care about this game. I'll play other Star Wars stuff. There are Star Wars games that are better than this. Like it was a very just not.
Wait, was
comfortable
it
feeling.
like an account issue? Like what was the final verdict?
It was an account issue because the original account supposedly that was linked to my PlayStation 4 was my old Yahoo account, which doesn't like exist anymore. And so because the parameters of my Yahoo account and my current Gmail account that is connected to my PlayStation, they don't match. Like it's not the same email, it's not the same birthday, nothing was the same. And so the game, and it's specifically the game, not the console, but the game was just like, this doesn't register. The parameters do not meet up. You account slashed. You can't play online. And the thing about it that was stupid is it's like, wait, so I was required to have an EA account just to play online when I paid this money for PlayStation Plus, and so on a PlayStation console it didn't matter. That's stupid to me. It made no sense.
That is weird.
So luckily I fixed it. It took me longer than it should have, but I was just like, great. Francis, are you tapping something?
My phone case?
Stop tapping it. Jeez, there's so much popping.
But I feel you. I feel like once EA dipped its fingers in Battlefront, they're all like, "Oh, it's over."
I mean, it doesn't. It's not just
Unfortunately,
Battlefront.
they did the game dirty. I agree, but I mean, not a whole lot we can do about it now.
I can always not play it. That's an
May I-
option.
Exactly.
My complaint for EA extends to Fallen Order too. Like, for anyone who watched the stream last night, or 2 nights ago, if you're listening to this on Sunday, I streamed on Friday, and there was just a point where I just broke down and I just kept complaining. Like, I was just like, they could have done this, they could have done that. You know, what was the excuse? Was it a BioWare thing? Was it an EA thing? Or no, because BioWare didn't even do Jedi Fallen Order, correct? Was it just 100% EA?
I don't think it.
I think they did.
No, not BioWare. I thought it was Dice or Respawn.
Let me double check.
Fallen Order.
Because I'm like, somebody made it was Respawn. Yeah, you're right. It was Respawn.
Yeah,
Entertainment.
it was Respawn.
So either it was Respawn or it was EA, but someone made a bunch of stupid decisions, or a lack of smart decisions, I should say, that could have uplifted this game super highly. Customization options, certain combat things. Like, it was just like, what's going on? So I guess that's how I'm opening this podcast. I'm just gonna rant about how EA basically messed up Star Wars games.
Well, that's the problem when you give one company exclusive rights to a franchise. They can give us whatever they want, and like, there's nothing we can do about it because no other company can make games for that franchise.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, when there wasn't exclusivity, there were lots of great Star Wars games.
Most definitely.
But then once EA got its hands on it, and they've all been pretty crappy.
Like, the lack of exclusivity gave us, at least in my opinion, the best Star Wars game I've ever played in my entire life. Anyone want to take a guess what that might have been?
The original Battlefront 2?
2005 Battlefront 2.
Geez, it's almost like you guys could read my freaking mind. Yeah.
Or
it's almost like we saw your Facebook post.
Yeah. It's almost like this rant wasn't already done.
Did I tease that Battlefront 2 Classic was my favorite game?
I think so. Yeah.
Not in the post.
Okay.
But I've heard that I read the same rant on your post, but like previously you talked about how Battlefront 2 is your favorite Star Wars game.
Oh, okay.
Because of reasons.
Because yeah. Well, geez, if I went into the reasons of why Battlefront 2 is my favorite game, it would just be Malik hosts the Gauntlet of Gaming podcast this time.
Yep. But if we're going to talk about favorite games, are we here to talk about favorite games or just rant on EA? Because I'm down for either.
You can talk about whatever you want. I just ran about EA
porque
because...
no los dos.
Hey, I will toast to that.
I know one thing EA didn't do.
What did EA not do?
Lego Star Wars.
That's true.
Oh, the Lego Star Wars games are great.
They're great. They're phenomenal.
Dude, they're untouchable.
I wouldn't say they're untouchable.
No,
I wouldn't say that.
For me.
They're coming out with Skywalker.
But growing up with the Lego Star Wars games, they were untouchable. But in recent years, I don't know about that.
Oh, well, I'm not talking about the recent ones. I'm talking about like the original complete saga.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
That is
like 1 through 6.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the question, Santi?
No, like the original ones, 1 through 6, were good.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I could even say that the DS version through 1 through 6 was like amazing.
There was a DS version?
There was a DS version, and you could have a multiplayer like map where you were shooting the like your other players on DS. Mm-hmm. It was awesome. I fought my brother in that so many times, and if you were like a shooting character, you won. My brother hated that.
All the old Lego games were great.
Yeah, agreed.
Except for the Harry Potter ones. I wasn't a big fan of those.
I didn't know they made Harry Potter ones.
Yeah, those were okay.
Indiana Jones topped it.
Yes, Indiana Jones was great. I loved it.
That was the first Lego game I beat. I couldn't beat all the other Star Wars ones.
Gosh, yeah, no. Lego Star Wars, those were great memories. That's like that was co-op done right, because you'd have that like jerk sibling who would always murder you, and it's like, you know what, it's okay. It's not, there's no consequence of death. I'm fine.
Except
Yeah, the real
coin.
studs.
I mean, yeah, you
Stud.
lose out on the studs, but that's why you just play solo and get the studs back.
Truth.
Force Unleashed 1. Amazing. Loved it.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
contrary to popular belief, I preferred 2.
Really, I really did not like 2 at all.
Yeah, I preferred 2.
I didn't play either.
You didn't play either of the Force Unleashed?
Oh, well, I played 2. 2 was fun. I didn't play 1.
Oh my gosh.
I watched my older brother play 1 because it was only on one save file.
Yeah, no,
So-
you if you ever get the chance, you should go back and play Force Unleashed 1.
Mm.
It was
There was
good.
one mission I
especially the
liked
way
in one.
they opened the game, and
Oh,
how
yeah.
that was basically the tutorial. You just get to be Darth Vader and just like destroy everything.
Oh,
That was great.
Yeah, I saw that part. That part
Yeah,
was cool.
it's iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was like the first game where you could actually control the Force, right?
No, there were others.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think Knights of the Old Republic had Force powers.
Yeah, and even the
Uh.
episode 3 video game had Force powers.
Yeah.
But it was kind of it was the game where you use the Force how you chose to use it. I mean, the thing about it, Force Unleashed 1, Force Unleashed 2, you can argue which one's better or which one's not. Either way, the thing about the games was that nothing felt more satisfying than just dragging a Star Destroyer from atmosphere down to the
Yes.
ground.
Oh, I remember that.
Like,
That was great.
iconic. Iconic. Like, I don't think there's really been a Star Wars game that's had a moment just as iconic as that. Granted, I could be wrong, and someone could, tell me that I'm wrong. But to my memory, in recent years, because I know people will bring up like KOTOR and the Old Republic type games, but in
Both
recent
were
games, no recent Star Wars game has really had a moment that you were just like, oh yeah, I am the Senate.
I think in the books, Luke also pulled down a Star Destroyer by the Force.
See,
But
but it's
that
one
was
thing
in the
to
books.
read it. Yeah, it's one thing to read
Yeah.
it. It's another to say, hey, I want you to take your right analog stick. Yeah, pull down. Okay. Now your left analog stick. Pull that down too. Simultaneously? Yes. Okay. Awesome. Now press and hold that and watch as you just bring the Star Destroyer down to the ground. I'm like, oh, I like this.
Oh boy.
I like this a lot.
Yikes. That does
And the
sound cool.
feeling.
I should probably
And the-
go back.
What were you saying, Francis?
And the feelings were real to me.
Oh yeah, no, the feels in Force Unleashed 1 were insane. My favorite character in the game still is Proxy.
Oh my god.
Right.
Huh?
Proxy was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Proxy, I think, rivals. Oh gosh, it's not HK. Is it HK-47? I think it's HK-47. Though they rival each other in like who is the best video game droid that was introduced. Because yeah, like HK-47 is just a jerk, and Proxy he's like C-3PO but cooler. I thought that was cool. And he can change into people, which was like used within the game. And I was like, all right, that's
Talking
super
about. Sorry.
cool. But yeah, no, Force Unleashed was cool. Which kind of made me disappointed when I see what's happening with Jedi Fallen Order, and I'm like, I see where they could have pulled a little more from the Force Unleashed, and this could have been a better game. It could have been a better experience, in my opinion. Speaking of better, or at least things that I wish could have happened, I wish we could have got like a legitimate Star Wars fighting game. Like to this day, I still play Star Wars Episode 3 on the PlayStation 2 because it is the definitive Star Wars fighting game.
Yep.
There's
It's
nothing
true.
else. And it sucks because unfortunately, like, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say that the game looks and plays good. No, it's trash. It feels like trash. It plays like trash. Um, it had a cool story moment, which I'm probably gonna play either on stream or on camera. Um, that was really fun. But yeah, no, I'm like, it had a built-in fighting game. Why do we not have more? I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
Uh,
to. I'll say
may-
yeah. It was. Go ahead, Francis.
it could be the fan base. Like maybe the people. Okay, so obviously right now EA is in control of like Star Wars games.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't see the fan base as being really interested in a Star Wars fighting game.
I mean,
Possibly.
I could see that being how EA views things, but it goes back to EA is foolish for thinking that.
It's inherently wrong thinking they always thought, oh, a narrative-based Star Wars game would never do well.
Yeah, like, because think about it. What is the one thing that every Star Wars nerd wants when they go to any Disneyland or Disney World?
Lightsaber
Why do you want a lightsaber?
to beat up my brother.
Unlimited
Precisely.
power.
Yeah, like,
no,
you
that's
wanna-
why I want lightning abilities.
you want to hit things and you want to use the Force. And so it's like, okay, then why don't you give us a game with an assortment of characters that allow us to hit things and use the Force?
Like, if we got like a Soul Calibur-esque style fighting for Star Wars, I think people would go crazy for that.
I'd spend
Yeah.
all of my money, I'd buy all the DLC, and I would never complain.
The problem is that EA is so focused on games as a service because they want to keep the recurrent spending because they want to make money because they're greedy.
See, but didn't Jedi Fallen Order break that mold for them too?
It did, but like they're not. They're just gonna make. They made a bunch of money off of it, but they want to keep making a bunch of money.
Yeah. Well, you can do that with fighting games though. Keep bringing in new characters. Keep introducing new skins.
New stages.
Or yeah, even new stages. Dude, fighting games have seasons for a reason. That's how they keep getting revenue. Do fighter
EA is
passes.
stupid.
This is true. Because for me, it's just like, look at the rise of fighting games right now and how more popular fighting games have become. A Star Wars fighting game would probably rival that of Street Fighter.
Like, it wouldn't even need to have a story. Just give me the fighting game.
Yeah. Maybe some character missions. You know, like how old Soul Calibur did it with like the arcade. So you go through the arcade of Star Wars characters and you find out like, or like how Mortal Kombat does the Towers of Time, where or not Towers of Time, but they do the classic towers where you can see like, oh, what would happen if this character was to have the power of Kronika? Like, what would happen if this character was to defeat, you know, the Emperor or whatever big bad is in the fighting game? Like, there's so much potential.
Yep. Well, on another note, the fans do like shooting things, which is why they do have the shooter games. So
that's true, and which is actually something that scared me when I heard that they released the final content for Battlefront 2.
Yeah, that's a big announcement because that means that they're dropping Battlefront 2 and working on something else.
Yep, and I'm scared of that.
Yeah, and I'm nervous if I see the words Battlefront 3.
I'm out. I'm out.
That's too soon.
I don't know. I might check
soon.
And even here's the thing: even if they make a Battlefront 3 and they call it, you know, Battlefront 3: The Old Republic, like they kind of just do an Old Republic shooter type deal, like because we do like what we have Modern Warfare, and then we go back to World War I and World War II. What if they did the same thing for Star Wars, where they're like, cool, you have your modern Star Wars shooter. Now we're gonna go back to the ancient days of the Old Republic and do an FPS of that. Like,
you know, when there's more Jedi and more Sith everywhere.
Please don't, though. Like, please don't make that a story game. Don't make that an FPS.
Yeah.
I mean, if they are gonna announce Battlefront 3, it's probably gonna be based off a new trilogy.
Yeah.
I guess because with Battlefront 2, they tried to make the a story that blended into the films.
Mm-hmm.
But
they did.
Like, who actually played through the story mode?
I did.
Because I'm going to maybe eventually someday.
I think Francis beat me to finishing the campaign.
I mean, it was short.
Yeah, it was really short, but they still incorporated it.
Because, like, I'm gonna be honest, when there are a few games that have a natural mechanic that have a story where I actually play the story. To my knowledge, Mortal Kombat is one of them. Soul Calibur is another. I think that's it. I haven't played the Tekken story. I haven't played Street Fighter story.
Oh man.
I haven't played, like, back when I used to play Call of Duty. Sure, yeah, I played story mode first, and then I played the online. But
Doesn't Power Rangers have a story?
I haven't played that either. Yeah.
Neither have I. I just went into the arcade.
yeah, I haven't played that either. And granted, like, I don't know if it's because I already know the story of Lord Draken, and I just kind of was like, I don't need to play the story mode, or if it's just because I just don't have the time to play it. But it's like, yeah, that's another great example. Power Rangers is like a property that I super love, but when it's a fighting game that has a story mode, hey, the story mode's cool. But it's weird enough. I play Mortal Kombat for the story, not for the fighting game aspect. Not really the same for Soul Calibur, but it goes the same for like a Star Wars fighting game. Like, I would play the Star Wars fighting game for hopefully the fighting game and not the story. So I don't know. It's a weird little conundrum.
No, it's okay to to like the other style over the story anytime. So I mean, shoot, when it comes to like the shooter side of Star Wars, I was full on just story. I never played online. I hated that. I hated the fact that you had to shoot other players. I thought that was stupid. So when I was playing what was it, 2006 Star Wars Battlefront 2? 5? Yeah. But when I was playing the 2005 version of it, I never touched like multiplayer or anything like that. I was always ever co-op against AIs. And that's how I liked it. I mean, shoot, my favorite game to this day that is a Star Wars game is Clone Commando, Republic Commando. And that's 100% story. The multiplayer is dead. You can, of course, create your own. It's sort of like Halo, where you can create your own, Master Chief, and he gets inputted in the story and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to see your character in the story of the Republic Commando. You are him. It is like a first-person story all the way through. And I enjoyed the story way more than the multiplayer. I did play the multiplayer on Xbox for 2 seconds. I got my butt kicked because I was 12 and I didn't know what I was doing. And I played the story 17 times, and honestly, I want to do it again because it is the best in my opinion.
If we're talking games with the best story,
I was talking specifically Star Wars in my opinion. Like,
that's
the
what
story
I mean.
Yeah. The story for the clones in Clone Commando was the first game I felt like the clones were brothers. And that's what I really liked about it.
I'd argue that there's a game that does it better. I think that it is, it goes back to my favorite Star Wars game. I think Battlefront 2 does that better. And I think and we talked about this in like the group chat a few days ago. But
with the journals?
With the journals, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the journal the chronicalizing of the story of the 501st Legion, I think just makes that bond. Like, to me, it gives me more of like the Clone Wars animated show feel than anything. And if we're going to talk about like any property that gives you like the feels for the clones, it's Clone Wars. I think Battlefront 2, I would say I'm not going to say it had a better story. I think that goes to KOTOR. I think Knights of the Old Republic, though I hate playing that game. I can't stand playing it. I think the story that it tells is fantastic, and I just wish that it got like a modern day like remaster, because it's a story I would like to play through, but not the way that it is from its old, rendition.
Yeah.
Play that deal with that gameplay it's rough.
Yeah, it's very rough. Great story. That's the sad thing. Great story, rough gameplay. Which I would argue is the case with a lot of good games nowadays. Good games either have really good gameplay, terrible story, or really good story and not so good gameplay.
Yeah, that's so true.
Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah. Heck, even Final Fantasy 15. A game that had a potentially great story that just had really bad gameplay.
Story also had problems, but that's not the point of this podcast.
But I think the same extends to like Star Wars. Like Jedi Fallen Order, when they told me or when I heard that Jedi Fallen Order was going to be kind of like a Soulsborne style of gameplay, my first reaction was, "Oh no, what have you done?" But then you play it and you're like, "This feels good. Like the combat feels great. The only issue is the story." So it's like, yeah, I think Knights of the Old Republic with a remastered look and a remastered gameplay to be more modern be fantastic. Actually, Francis, I think I was talking to you when I brought up the fact that if they did basically like a if they did like a Final Fantasy VII remake for Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, you were talking to both of us.
I was talking to both of you. Yeah, like if they did a kind of like how they did Final Fantasy VII remake, where they kind of just kept the same feeling, the same characters, things like that, and just gave it a whole new overhaul of graphics. Like it would be amazing. People would love it. Old fans would love it because they get to play through that same story again. If you want to keep that turn-based style combat that it had, do it. You can allow that to happen. Same as Final Fantasy VII Remake did it. And then allow for the free combat. Why not? Why not do it? You'll keep the old fans, or at least you'll keep the old fans who want to see the story again. And you'll get new fans who are like, this is Star Wars. But this is Star Wars I've never seen before. But the problem is, it's considered Legends now. So I don't think they want to do anything with it.
I don't... I mean, they did announce the new trilogy that they're going to be working on is for Knights of the Old Republic. So all the things for the newer stuff is going to be for Knights of the Old Republic. But I heard that they're changing a lot of the canon.
Oh, you're talking the film is going to be KOTOR?
Yeah, the films are going to be KOTOR.
You think they'll just rip a bunch of stuff from the online Knights of the Old Republic?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're just going to do a bunch of online, like the KOTOR online compared to the KOTOR that we know and love that was on Xbox.
I'm trying to remember what was the name of the online one, because it wasn't Knights of the Old Republic. It was
just KOTOR Online. That's literally what it's called.
It was Knights of the Old Republic Online.
It was just called KOTOR Online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the heck was KOTOR Online? Are you talking the Old Republic? Just Star Wars: The Old Republic?
No. There's an online MMO version of Knights of the Old Republic.
Really?
Yeah, it's an MMO. I think we both played it. Like a while ago. Like, yeah, when it first came out, you could be a Jedi, you could be a Sith, you could be and it's free to play now. You could be a Jedi, Sith, bounty hunter, smuggler, and each one has like a certain like class and stuff like that. You could be a Sith master or a Sith knight.
I've never heard of that.
It's a super fun game. It was addicting at first.
They would always release like super clean, really like awesome trailers every time they had an expansion.
Yeah, the trailers of the brothers that you like so much. That's Knights of the Old Republic Online.
If I remember correctly, the brothers were the Old Republic, weren't they?
No. That was one of the expansion. That was the trailer for a new expansion for KOTOR Online. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
What the heck? That confuses the heck out of me. Then, I mean, granted, like those are like the Star Wars games that those are the Star Wars games like I didn't play a lot of.
Oh no! Sorry.
Wait, no, I have it here. No, it's the Old Republic, Knights of the Fallen Empire.
Yeah, I just pulled it.
Yeah,
up.
You guys have me so confused. Yeah.
People call it KOTOR though.
I'm like,
people like I always hear people refer to it as KOTOR Online, so I just assumed that's what it was.
Okay, that's why I was confused, because I'm like, KOTOR never was an online game, but the Old Republic was. Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, I never touched the Old Republic. Like, I love the story of the twins from the Knights of the Fallen Empire. Like, the Knights of the Fallen Empire had a cool story until it didn't. But yeah, nah, I was like, MMOs. It takes a lot for me to get into that. Which I'm glad to see that there hasn't been like this like big Star Wars MMO that they've come out with, like kind of like an ESO but for Star Wars. I'm really glad to not see
they
that.
did a long time ago. It was called Galaxy.
Well, a long time ago, but I'm talking like modern. Like I'm glad that there's no modern Star Wars
It
MMO
was like a World of Warcraft spinoff.
because the last thing I think we need until EA can get their stuff together with the current games is a MMO.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot how bad this game looked. Star Wars Galaxies. It was an MMO.
I have
just
to
like
see this. I have to see how
it's
bad this looks.
this looks bad. My brother and I tried to play it, and then it became a subscription service, and then we're all like, "Yeah, f this, man. Nobody wants to
It's
play."
called Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Star Wars Galaxy.
Yeah, this is a very aged game.
This is the game that is very MMO. This is exactly what I think of when I think of an MMO Star Wars game.
Yeah.
This thing is horribly looking. This looks like
Oh
Penguin Club for
no!
Star Wars.
But keep in mind, this came
The
out
time-
in 2003.
2003, yeah.
Uh,
And expansions went
Very
through
poorly.
2005,
and it lasted for a good like 8 years.
something like that.
So-
Before Old Republic came out, and then
Yeah.
everybody moved to that. Ouch.
Yeah, no, that is that's a whole lot of no.
Yeah, looking at that, I'm all like, man.
'Cause that's
my
the other
brother and I
thing.
thinking.
That's the other problem. MMOs, there's only one MMO to my knowledge that does not sacrifice good graphical quality for gameplay or anything else like that, and that's Final Fantasy 14. Like, I think Final Fantasy 14
I'm
still
still
looks great.
salty about that. You have to pay $60 for base game plus all
Oh,
expansions.
we gotta let that go. We have to let it go.
And then a subscription, a monthly subscription.
We have to let it go. We can't keep talking about that every podcast when we bring up Final Fantasy.
You're not wrong, but it's like I want to play it, but that's a whole lot of money for a game I'm not gonna play all the time.
Nay, that's not a game that's not worth it then.
That's true.
But that's the issue though. If Star Wars went MMO, I feel like that's what they do. Right? Go subscription
That's
service.
probably exactly what EA would do.
Mm-hmm. Which just
Is
sucks.
BioWare Old Republic?
Yes.
Yeah, BioWare did KOTOR.
Yeah.
They were in that time frame.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what was the game, because EA acquired Star Wars around the time when 1313 was in production. Like that's around the time when they got it.
Mm.
And I'm trying to remember what was the last. Oh, good God! Was Force Unleashed 2 the last BioWare Star Wars game?
EA got Star Wars in 2013.
So then, yeah, it would have been Force Unleashed 2 then.
They have 3 more years with it.
You said they have or had 3 more years.
They have 3 more years because it was a 10-year deal.
Oh, they're gonna
I
re-up that
think.
deal.
I really hope Disney reconsiders because we're not getting any good Star Wars games, really.
We're not getting any good Star Wars movies either, but you see where they're going with that.
Yeah.
You said it was 2013?
Just
Yeah.
give me Star Wars Republic Commando remastered, and I'll be happy.
Dang, then what was the last? Because what's it called?
They
Force
did
Un-
the
Well, because I was gonna say Force Unleashed 2 isn't BioWare.
No.
Force Unleashed 2 was Lucasfilm.
along with all the Lego games.
Yeah.
Are you asking like what was the first EA game or like the last EA game?
No, what was the last game before EA got Star Wars? Like the games for Star Wars. Because when EA got Star Wars, they closed down the whole LucasArts, or not Lucasfilms, LucasArts. LucasArts did The Force Unleashed. But yeah, when they got Star Wars, they shut down LucasArts. And they were just like, no more games from you. Like, that's it. I'm trying to remember.
Oh,
what the last game.
they did another one. You're right. And everybody was pissed off at it too.
Because to my memory, 1313 was the one that was in the works there was another game. I think there was also the Darth Maul game that was in the works, quote
There was
unquote,
a
in the works.
Gee, that was a while ago.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, I know they did Battlefront. They did. Oh, Mass Effect. That's right. They did 2007.
Because I'm really curious. Because it tells you a lot when you see what happened before EA and what happened after.
EA did Old Republic.
Did they start with it or did they just take control of it?
The developers BioWare, Electronic Arts, BioWare Austin LLC.
Oh no, it was BioWare then. EA was just kind of the subsidiary that worked.
They added on top of it when they got the name.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, what is? There's no.
No, they did. I know they
timeline.
did Battlefield.
Honestly, I think honestly Force Unleashed 2 was like the last Star Wars game I remember before EA got Star Wars.
Yeah, same here. But I felt like there was something that came after it.
Well, there was the first Battlefront and then Battlefront 2.
No, those were before that. Those were way before the acquisition. Because Battlefront 2 again was 2005, which
I think he's
surprisingly.
talking about the EA ones.
Oh, when they were working together.
Well, they did so like the newer Battlefronts is what I was talking about.
Oh no,
Yeah, the EA ones.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about those. I'm talking what was before the Battlefront 1 and after the Force Unleashed 2 was there anything?
I don't think so.
Anything happen?
From BioWare, right?
Well, BioWare or anyone pre-EA. Because to my knowledge, I don't think there was.
I don't remember there being anything.
I mean, aside from Connect Star Wars, but we don't.
I think they took over. I think they took over SWTOR.
Took over what?
The Old Republic. The Old Republic Online.
Oh,
they took that over and they were just revamping it before they busted out the Battlefront games. So like when they got it, they were because Old Republic was 2011.
Yeah, but when was the Knights of the Fallen Empire expansion? Because that's the question. Because I don't even remember. I don't play that game, so I don't even know when that came out.
Knights of the Fallen Empire came out 2015.
2015?
Yeah.
So there you go. Fallen Empire was either EA's first edition, first and probably, to my knowledge, only a big addition to the game, because I haven't heard of anything else coming out of that game.
There was 3 more expansions after that.
Oh, okay. They just weren't that big of a deal.
They were just quiet.
But yeah, no, it's like when. So it was the Force Unleashed. Force Unleashed was like the last big thing that everyone. Force Unleashed 2, I mean, was like the last big thing Star Wars related. And then it's like, cool, we got Battlefront 1, which was very controversial. You have the Old Republic, but out of the 4 of us, who actually plays the game?
What Old Republic?
Like Old Republic Online.
Like to this day, or like did play the game?
As of recent, you've played it.
I mean, I played it like 2 years ago, so there goes that.
So I guess it's fairly recent then.
Yeah. I was playing as a Jedi, and that was actually pretty fun. When I got my lightsaber, woo!
Because I'm like, when most people, when they talk about like what was your favorite or what would you consider to be one of the best Star Wars games, I don't think a single EA game comes to anyone's mind.
Nope.
Probably not.
I don't, and that's a shame. That's like a huge shame. Because we lost out on 1313, which could have potentially been the best Star Wars game.
Was it the one they were gonna have Naughty Dog do?
I don't remember who was going to develop, but it was the Bounty Hunter one.
The castle one that was supposed to be like an Uncharted style.
Somewhat like that, yeah. Where you get to play as Boba Fett, and you travel down to level 1313. Yeah, like there was.
Was that the one Visceral Games was doing before they shut them down?
I can't remember who was developing it. I just remember that it was announced in 2012, and then poof, it was gone.
Is it Project Ragtag or something?
I don't know. I'm not even gonna try to guess. But no, there was just like a few other ones, like Attack Squadron got
It was
canned.
gonna be LucasArts was gonna do 1313.
Oh, it was gonna be LucasArts. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking it up on the Wikipedia.
So there you go. LucasArts, and again, LucasArts kind of went. So there was that.
It followed the story of the bounty hunter Boba Fett.
Yeah. And then so Attack Squadrons was also dead, and then hilariously enough, the game that I was the most excited to hear, because just from the name alone, was Battle of the Sith Lords. Like, you don't name a Star Wars game Star Wars Battle of the Sith Lords and not release it. You have to make that game. In fact, I think Battle of the Sith Lords was supposed to be the rumored Darth Maul one. But
probably.
Then again, I'm not sure, because, it's dead.
Well, with the new canoned episodes of the Clone Wars,
they could do something with it.
They definitely could, because Darth Maul and Mandalore.
But I don't think they should, in my honest opinion. Because of how much the animated show has fleshed out Darth Maul now to this point. Like, I'm not saying they didn't do a good job, but it's like, what can you do with Darth Maul now that it still lives up to the hype? Because before the Clone Wars gave us back Darth Maul, the whole thing was like, cool, there's a potential we could have a Darth Maul game. Like, in theme, you guys remember watching Rogue One?
Yeah, I cried.
Remember the hallway scene?
Yeah, I cried.
So
hallway scene
with Darth Vader.
Oh yeah, that was great.
So
dude, I cried when that happened.
The whole concept for the Darth Maul game was it was going to be dark and it was going to be deadly, just like that scene. Like, you were going to be Darth Maul, you were going to go on that rampage, and I'm like, you can't really do that now. If I'm going to be honest, like, as a person who, my favorite character is Darth Maul, seconded only by Kylo Ren. Like, as a Darth Maul fan, I don't really think they can do that now. Like, if they try to do a story game with Darth Maul, it's not really going to sync the same way. Because back then, it would have been this big mystery. It's like, what was the life of Darth Maul like prior to his bisection? But because they do the comics now and they've done stuff with the Clone Wars, it's like, I don't know if we want that game anymore. I don't know.
And they could also potentially do a game based off The Mandalorian.
They could. They should do, if they're gonna do another like first or third person shooter adventure game or action adventure.
It should be that.
Yeah, it should be a Mandalorian game.
It really should be. And I think a Mandalorian game would almost mimic what a Halo game is for Xbox, honestly.
I agree.
Because you would get to create your own bounty hunter or Mandalorian in a way.
Yeah. Like, that's exactly what... Dude, the Mandalorian is
it would be
probably
really
one of the
cool
most
to
popular...
explore that, like, post-Fall of the Empire world.
Dude, those stormtroopers are the deadliest. Right after, the Fall of the Empire, those guys are the worst. Those are the baddest of the bad.
Like...
In my opinion.
My thing is, look at the numbers. What do people talk about the most positively right now when it comes to Star Wars, aside from Baby Yoda?
Dang it.
Yeah, aside from Baby Yoda.
I was going to be right there for once.
The most talked about thing in Star Wars is The Mandalorian, seconded only by The Clone Wars. And the only reason why The Mandalorian beats out The Clone Wars is because the new season or the current season of The Clone Wars has mostly been for the fans who have waited for it.
Yeah,
I've
waited for it.
For people who are like, I like Star Wars... Have you watched the Clone Wars? What's that? Like,
we can't talk to those people.
They're not as big into it as. Do you like Star Wars? Yeah. Have you watched the new episode of the Mandalorian? Oh my god, let me tell you about the Mandalorian. So I thought it was really cool when they did this and they did that, and this is the way. Like, the Mandalorian.
Are you speaking Francis's voice right now?
No. I'm just speaking how I've heard it.
Francis, you almost did a Francis impression there.
No, I can't pull a Francis. He's unique. He's special.
Oh boy.
Oh my god.
But No, like that's my thing. Like, that's what's weird about Star Wars right now. Things like you kind of start to feel like a hipster, where it's just like Darth Maul is so cool, man. Darth Maul was cool before you thought he was cool. The Mandalorians are so cool, man. The Mandalorians were cool before you thought they were cool. Oh my gosh, Baby Yoda is the cutest thing ever, man. Everyone thought Yoda was the coolest, man. Yaddle was the cutest thing ever, man. Forget Baby Yoda. It was all about Yaddle. That's who everyone cared about.
Oh, Yaddle.
Like you start to feel like a hipster, and
Good name.
and that's the problem. It creates this divide now because now when it comes to the gaming
New
landscape,
Age Star Wars.
Yeah, when it comes to the landscape of Star Wars and gaming, and this is where I don't fault EA for this. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for anyone who has to develop a Star Wars game. Star Wars and Marvel, those are the two games where I'm just like, you're screwed. No matter what you do, you're screwed. And maybe Capcom.
Yeah, you're gonna get like a bad rap every time.
Yeah,
and
there's no winning.
Expected at this point.
There's no winning because at this point there's a split. There are the Star Wars fans and there are the Star Wars stans. And the Star Wars stans are like the older fans, like people they grew up. You know, their first stuffed animal was a Star Wars Jar Jar Binks stuffed animal because your parents hated you when you were growing up. And then you have the Star Wars fans where it's just like, you know, yeah, I watched The Mandalorian and I've watched a couple of the Star Wars movies and I got a lightsaber. Like,
yeah,
you know, there's a difference. And then there's the people in the middle. You know, I would say that I'm kind of in the middle where I wouldn't say I'm a stan. You know, I'm not gonna go out and read all the books and I'm not gonna watch everything. Like man, I haven't watched The Mandalorian and I have not watched the new season of the Clone Wars.
Both good.
People would tell me I'm not a true Star Wars fan. I tell them, hey, come live my life. So,
yeah,
you
I'm
know,
kind of the same.
Yeah, like there's the middle ground. Who do you make games for then? The people who are new to Star Wars, the people who have been here forever, or the people in the middle? I can't be mad at EA for everything, right? Like,
I mean, and that explains like the films, like the newer ones, with the fan service of having the old characters in the movies. Was to bring the old people, like the old fans, back into the series to see the older heroes they loved and adored.
Yeah, and it goes back to the issue I brought up. You're not going to please anyone. You bring in the old characters. Old fans are going to be like, "Why'd you do that?
Yeah, why'd
you sully my character?" New people are going to be like, "Who's this old character? Why are they so important? Why aren't you focusing on my important character who's new?" And then people in the middle are going to be like, "Dude, everything you do just sucks." It's just tough.
There's no pleasing.
Yeah. That's why it's like people are like, "Oh, Star Wars is toxic." I'm like, no, it's not that Star Wars is toxic. The fans are toxic. They fight each other. And that's what's hard. That's the whole thing about like having the Star Wars game podcast is it's like there are 4 of us, and I would say all 4 of us have a love for Star Wars in some way. But none of us love Star Wars to the same extent, and we definitely don't love the same thing. Like, John is 150 million% the clone fan.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
No one beats John in our group when it comes to the clones. You could be at L&L, and some dude will walk in with a white suit, and John will be like, "He reminds me of a clone. The clone's number was this. His name was that. He shot this gun. The gun was specific to this specification and did this thing. And when he overheated it, he would take his hand, he'd grab it, and he would scream, 'Hold on tight, baby. We're gonna get through this.'" And he would just keep firing. Like that's what John would do.
I freaking love the clones, man.
Hashtag not my clone trooper.
Yeah, like that's Santi on the other hand.
He's doing it wrong.
Santi's the power monger. Like Santi's just like, "Oh, I can blow stuff up with this character. All right, it's lit."
It's lit. Lightning
I
powers.
like you.
Fuck yeah.
What? You cause mass genocide? Oh man, you're evil. Wait, you can shoot hundreds of ships out of the sky? All right, I like you.
Holla at your boy.
And then there's Francis. Francis is like when you watch Star Wars. When you watch Star Wars and you see the underground city where there's like the nightclubs and all that, and there's like all the neon lights and stuff like that. Francis is the type of person where he'll sit there with like neon paint and he's just like, "Hi, I just want to watch the bloodshed."
No,
I'm here.
Like
Francis is here for the Ewoks.
The droid.
Francis is like, "I'm here for the Ewoks."
Boy. For instance, what is like your favorite thing about Star Wars?
Okay. I guess I should mention this part. So obviously I'm pretty surface level on quite a few things. Star Wars is one of them. But I mean, original movies, like the first 6 movies, I enjoyed watching, Luke and Vader like facing off and all that stuff. I mean, I won't deny that I enjoyed it. And then, yeah.
Are we talking films or games?
Everything.
Okay. So like Rebels.
Yeah, basically, yeah, because like I enjoy Star Wars, and I just haven't played that many Star Wars games.
Yeah, fair enough.
Admittedly.
Hey.
But knowing
that doesn't make you not a fan, by the way.
Oh yeah, I know, but that's why I was kind of like with Malik on the part where he was in the middle ground. Like I need to catch up on Clone Wars, but I just haven't yet. I did watch Mandalorian
watching Clone Wars.
You what, Santi?
It was good.
Like I need to actually watch Clone Wars. I haven't watched Clone Wars or Rebels.
If you want an opinion on both, I would watch. Yeah. They're both good. I like them both. If you want Empire, I definitely watch Rebels. Either way, you're getting sort of the same story.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, Clone Wars is better than Rebels.
Yeah, most definitely. If you want action, Clone Wars.
Yeah, I don't even think there's a competition. Just watch Clone Wars. Like, if you had to choose between one of them, and you were like, I have to watch one, I don't think I'll have the time to watch the other. Just watch Clone Wars. Don't bother with Rebels.
There are some things that Rebels does that fills in holes that Clone Wars didn't. So I appreciated those. Those episodes, but it's a whole new different story. But it's also about the same person. So
yeah, I mean, for me, and this is jumping off of Star Wars games and just going into like Star Wars in general.
Yeah.
when it comes down to Rebels' place in Star Wars, like, I'll always only remember 2 important moments from that show. And it speaks volumes about something when there's only certain moments that you remember instead of the thing as a whole. To me, the only 2 things that really mattered about Rebels was Ahsoka versus Vader. Spoilers. Yep. Was Ahsoka versus Vader, and the rematch between Obi-Wan and Maul.
Which lasted 2 seconds.
To be more precise, lasted 3 strikes.
Yep.
And it was the most emotionally I wouldn't call it a fight. I would call it a performance. It was
definitely a performance.
Yeah, it was the most beautiful Star Wars performance that I had ever seen.
I mean, the rivalry to the end was just amazing. But I gotta say.
But would I say it's worth watching Rebels? Nah. Like, in my personal opinion, just watch the YouTube clips.
Or just watch that one episode.
Or just watch the episode. Yeah. Like, watch Clone Wars. And then just be like, you know what? YouTube. Darth Vader versus Ahsoka Tano. Oh, snap. Oh, okay. This is cool. Wait, hold on. What? Yo, I need to know. And then you go to Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul Rebels. And you're like, oh, that hurt. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you really get from it. Like, there's a lot of...
Like, it fills in plot holes that you're like, I want to know what happened to Darth Maul. Yeah. I want to know what happened to Ahsoka.
Like, lore-wise, yeah, if you want to keep up to the lore, watch both of them. But for you, Santi, you're more action-y. Like, you like to watch stuff blow up and people die and catch the feels. You'd get Clone Wars as your thing.
Definitely. I think he'd like Clone Wars. I like season-wise. I can't narrow it down for you.
No, just watch it all. Don't even narrow it down. You got to watch it all.
You should even watch the movie before you watch the series.
Oh my gosh, man!
Yeah, remember when we went to the theater?
That was one of the few times I actually went to. I think that was the first time I went to the movies for my birthday by myself.
There was a field trip from school to go see that movie, man. I was on that.
I don't think that was a trip I was a part of.
Awesome.
No, I do remember that I took a field trip to go see Tron though, but that's a different conversation. That's a whole other podcast.
That's a whole different podcast.
That's what we should talk about. We should talk about the future of Tron and gaming. That's what we should do
later.
But yeah, no, like when it comes to like Star Wars, I have to say the strongest, and you'd think the strongest part of Star Wars would be like the lightsabers, the Force, Jedi, Sith, and things like that. I think the strongest aspect of Star Wars, and it reflects within the games, will always and forever be the clones / stormtroopers.
Why I love them.
I think the troopers are the strongest aspect of Star Wars. I don't think anyone can like the philosophy of the Force and things like that. That's what I love. Like I prefer that over the clones any day. But there is no arguing that, you know, what's your favorite Star Wars game? Battlefront 2, 2005. Why? Because it just makes you feel the familial bond that comes from being in that company. And being in those brothers. Like, imagine living you were designed for war. And you have to live out your life of being designed for war until you die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, no, and that's why for me it's like, okay, so they're done with battle, and it's probably the biggest disappointment that came from Battlefront 2, and I think this will be a good ending point since we plan on playing Battlefront 2 tonight.
Yeah, we'll probably talk more then too.
Most recent, not the classic. We'll play the classic another time.
Yeah.
But this is where I think Battlefront 2, even with microtransactions and all that, this is where EA could have made bank, is realize what's more important than the lightsabers in Star Wars? The freaking troopers. How do you know? Because even though there are a bunch of lightsaber academies out there, and I've went through one myself, the lightsaber academies aren't the biggest, most popular, talked about thing that everyone praises. It's the 501st Legion.
It is the 501st Legion, and I love those guys.
It is the 501st Legion. I'm not talking about Darth Vader's 501st. I'm talking about the actual community-serving people of the 501st Legion.
The real 501st
troopers
who incorporate Imperial and clones. They have both.
You are, like, it's the ultimate character creation. You
really though.
You are a trooper. So why in the world has EA not recognized? And it goes back to the comment I made when I was playing Jedi Fallen Order. Why is it that people don't recognize that the moment you allow me to put myself in a game is the moment that you've captured me? You win. Mm-hmm. Your game could have a trash story. That's okay. I get to play as my own trooper. Okay, I'll take that. You know, like things like that, you know? And if EA really wanted Battlefront 2 to be the game that put the trust in EA, I wouldn't say put the trust back in EA, because they lost that a long time ago.
They never really had it in the first place.
I mean, hey, EA Big, EA Games, and EA Sports, that's when they had my trust. But if modern EA wanted to get the trust of the Star Wars fandom, no one cares about what is her name? It's Iden Versio? Is that her name? Iden Versio? Yeah. Nobody cared about Iden Versio. You want to know why I know nobody cared about it? How many people played Battlefront 2 and read the corresponding book? Because I'll tell you what,
the book was expensive. So
I have the game, and that book is right behind me on my bookshelf. Guess how many pages of that book I've read?
None.
Oh, come on, give me some kind of credit.
I was gonna say 4, but all right.
I've read 2 pages. The title. I read 2 pages of that book, and then I realized, why am I reading this book? It's not. You know what story I would have loved to read about? The Death Troopers.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That's a book I wanted to read, and that's a book I probably will read. Like, there's so many different things you can do. There's so many different varieties of troopers. Because when it comes to the Jedi and the Sith, there's the Jedi and there's the Sith. And then there's the people in the middle. Who we call the gray, but canonically they're not the gray. But they're kind of the gray, and it doesn't really matter. But it's like, the Force is a very tricky thing. So don't isolate us to one side or the other. That's the biggest complaint I had about Jedi Fallen Order when Santi and I were playing. Is I was like, but why? Why am I being forced to rebuild the Jedi Order? What if I don't care? You know what? I know how I'm not going to rebuild the Jedi Order. I'm not going to play.
Well, the Fallen Order was Kestis story. It wasn't your story, so
that's where it failed. It's I'm playing as Cal Kestis. Don't mind me. I'm just going to rebuild the Jedi Order with the younglings that I'm going to try to find. Versus, my name is Trooper 15268. My mission is to eliminate any Jedi that I found after the Order 66. This is my story of how I became a rebel.
So, concept idea.
Listening.
Fallout, but Star Wars. Basically.
Also,
I'm probably gonna have to armbar you, man.
You're gonna have to go further.
When you mentioned it earlier, like putting yourself in the game, character creation.
Oh, you talking like
you do the same thing in Fallout, or even Outer Worlds, right?
Yeah.
So basically, or in your case, maybe since you like Outer Worlds better, Outer Worlds, but Star Wars.
So Francis.
Yeah.
Knights of the Old Republic remastered.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what that is.
That's you basically just said an idea. You mentioned a concept, right? Without even me saying it. That's why I was like, does Francis recognize what he's saying? You basically just petitioned for the same idea. Either a Knights of the Old Republic remaster or a Knights of the Old Republic remake. Because that's literally what it was. Because that's what BioWare is known for. That's what made people love the Outer Worlds so much, is it felt like BioWare and Fallout together made a baby.
I still need to play that game.
It's good.
Yeah, it's really good. I agree.
I spent countless hours on Fallout, so...
All it needed was a lightsaber, and that game would have been the next Knights of the Old Republic. But yeah, no, I think those are the two concepts right there. Francis just brought up one, and I brought up another one. Give us another Battlefront 2 2005 where the story focuses on us as the clones. Sure, have a multiplayer where we can play as different races. No one's against that. But when it comes to the story mode, nobody cares about the resurrection of Palpatine and his plan to eradicate planets using weather and stuff like that. And we're playing as Iden Versio, and no one cares. But when we're a clone, when we can project ourselves... Because here's the thing. We know that the clones are clones, but how often do we see a clone in combat without their helmet?
Never.
Really never.
So when you can't see the face of the person you're playing as, who do you think is behind the helmet?
Naturally me.
Exactly. So give us more games like that. And then going to Francis's idea, give us a game where we have that story exploration. You can give us both. I don't see any. Battlefront 3. Give this the story of the First Order. Dude, the events of Episode 9 happen. The First Order is still out there. Like, there are still First Order troopers. Give me a story where you were part of the First Order and you're surviving the fall of Palpatine and the First Order. What is that like? What do you do in this situation?
I was going to bring up an idea when you guys started mentioning, like, being yourself in a Star Wars game. And I think one aspect I think some people glaze over, and not everybody, I'm just saying some people do, is the clone project ended when the 501st turned into the Empire.
Yep.
When they turned in Empire. So the clone project ended, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then who did they go to for more bodies? They started stealing them. What happens if you were one of those slaves?
Exactly.
So and then you were corrupted by the Empire, and then they even showed this in one of the newer Star Wars movies, is a whole battalion revolted against the First Order and became rebels.
Yeah.
Like, tell that story. That's beyond madness to me.
So,
like, that's awesome.
That's the thing. You got it. There's the two.
I mean, shoot, even Han Solo defected.
Yeah. We're going to talk about Han Solo.
I liked that movie.
I'm never going to watch it.
I'm not going to watch it either.
So good.
That's you know what? This is what I'll say. If not watching Solo makes me not a Star Wars fan, then don't call me a Star Wars fan. I'm not going to watch
I mean, I'm not calling you not a Star Wars fan for not watching that movie. But
oh, no, not you.
I liked it.
But there are some very, very neck-beardy people who like to say some very mean things.
Milady.
My lord. Oh my
My lord.
gosh. But that's the whole
Soldier
thing. That's the whole thing. Those two game concepts. You want to make a successful game? Sure, slap EA on there. No, I don't care. I don't care. You can put EA, you can put whoever. It doesn't matter to me. But when you tell me this is a game where you get to play the story as a First Order trooper after the fall of the First Order, and you have to make story decisions on, do you try to keep your identity as a First Order trooper together, or do you resist? Do you rebel? What's life like when you're rebelling as a former stormtrooper? You know, it wasn't easy for Finn. He struggled. He had trust issues, and then at the same time, he feared that people wouldn't trust him. Luckily, he was in good company, but what happens when you're surrounded by a planet of people who don't trust stormtroopers, even if you defect? What happens?
Oh no, this is where they input, what was it, Galactic Conquest?
Which, that's the other thing, though. That was my other thing. Is Galactic Conquest was cool because it was the feeling of you were a trooper. You were the one trooper that you played in every single mission, but you actually played through a war.
Yep.
It was long, it was tiring, and at times
Tedious.
you would give up because the battles would go back and forth. You took the planet. Now your brother took the planet. Now you took the planet back. Galactic Conquest, I think, was the best implementation of indirect storytelling.
Yep.
Because you create the story. All right, we get to choose. You get to be the rebels. I get to be the Empire. That's not fair. I want to be the Empire. Like, you create that, right? And then from there, it's like, yes, the Empire took this planet, and now we will destroy anyone who tries to take it back.
Do it.
And then someone takes
18th time fighting over Kashyyyk for the 18th time this game.
Yeah, but hey, that's war.
Yeah, exactly. You're constantly going back and forth.
And it gives you perspective. How tired must stormtroopers or clone troopers be? Because they're not droids. Droids,
Nope.
on the other hand, it's just like, okay, we're sending another platoon to go
Roger.
thing. Yeah. Like,
Francis's favorite guys.
It is.
He straight up, he was so happy when the droids got put on the new Battlefront game.
Oh,
I
I
remember
was
because
too.
he's all like, "You want to play right now?"
In fact, I hope that we get to play as droids tonight so I can play as the droidica.
I want to
so
play
hyped.
clones.
Oh, it was cool.
I'm so high. I want to play as Darth Maul again, and now that I'm using different Wi-Fi, I'm hoping I don't insta die this time.
Yeah. Dude, that was so sad. You did that recording too.
Yeah, that was recorded. I had the music and everything. I was like, I'm gonna edit this to make it seem like it's a hype situation. I'm just gonna have myself just womp.
Wah wah.
Yeah, but that's, I think that's what we're gonna leave off with. There is a great future for Star Wars video games, and the thing that sucks is the fact that our voice unfortunately isn't loud enough to reach EA and just be like, hey, you want to make some money?
Let me in. Let me in.
Talk to us.
It's like, hey, you want to get paid? Hey kid, you want to buy some death sticks? Like,
Hey kid, you wanna buy some death sticks?
like this is the thing. Is just like, if you could hear this, if someone would just say the same thing we said, Knights of the
On
Old
repeat.
Republic remastered or remake, Final Fantasy, dude. Because I complain about remakes when it comes to filming in games, but there is no denying that Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VII Remake, you compare those two together and you realize, if we do this right, a remake of an old game might actually be a good idea. Knights of the Old Republic. So
yeah, we're not giving you the the guidebook. We're giving you it.
I'm just like this is, who's gonna get pissed off at a Knights of the Old Republic remake? Like, who, and why? Why are
The
you being...
mainstream fans.
But why? I'll tell you this. I
Because
know
they don't know what it is.
I know a lot of people who watched all the Star Wars movies, they watched all the animated shows, and they watched The Mandalorian. Hey, have you played the Knights of the Old Republic? What the heck is the Knights of the Old Republic?
Slap.
Like, yeah.
I played.
Like, I haven't beaten the game. I at least know the story of Knights of the Old Republic. And it's just like, do you at least know the story of Knights of the Republic? What the heck is Knights of the Old Republic? Hey, have you heard of this game called Final Fantasy VII? What the heck is Final Fantasy VII? Well, let me tell you. So if you play Final Fantasy, you just play the remake, dude. Just play the remake. It'll hype you.
Sit down, little punk. I'm gonna tell you a great story.
Sit down and listen.
Have you heard of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
I'm so glad that was inputted today.
So
and on that note,
yeah,
Battlefront 2.
I think that's a good stopping point. That should have been. That's our question of the day. Have you heard the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Francis, thank you.
You're welcome.
That was so funny.
Jeez.
So there you go. That's our Star Wars podcast. That's our May Star Wars month podcast. That was funny. It's just a shame, right? When you sit back and actually talk about Star Wars and gaming, and we didn't even talk about like the NES games, any of the old PlayStation games, like there's so much great content from Star Wars games that are just not aged well.
Nope.
And if EA really wanted to make the money, like they don't even have to care about the fans, but if you just really wanted to make money, you'd be smart and you'd look at what worked, what didn't work, what should we do? Because the thing is, everyone's like, hey, we want a single player Star Wars experience. What they were saying was they want another KOTOR. They weren't saying they wanted Jedi Fallen Order. Good try, but unfortunately you failed this quiz.
Yeah, you were too slow. Gotta be quicker than that.
So hopefully they'll fix that mistake. Hearing that they're done working with Battlefront 2, I have hope and I have fear. Hope that they might actually listen and do something good. Fear that they're just gonna pull an EA. But I guess only time will tell.
It's a verb now.
Yeah, it's an adjective.
Alright.
So, yeah. Any last remarks from anybody before we head out?
Roger.
I guess my favorite is Vader.
That's a good choice. That's a very good choice.
That's a good choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
John, who is your favorite clone? Is it Cody?
I like Cody. He's very by the book, but I think I've liked Rex ever since the Clone Wars animated series came out. So I'm gonna go with Rex.
Gotcha.
And then my second favorite is Republic Clone Commando number 42, which is the character you play as.
Got you. Santi, who's your favorite character? Jar Jar Binks.
I hate you.
Dang the shade.
Hey, but I'm not wrong.
He's still the real Sith Lord.
He's the real Sith Lord.
No, but who really is your favorite Star Wars character?
Honestly, I've never really thought about it.
Making you think now.
You are. I wasn't ready for this question.
Got a shotgun you.
All right.
You put me on the spot, and I don't know how to respond.
If one character had to be in a Star Wars fighting game, who was the first character you'd want in that game?
Okay, Obi-Wan.
There you go.
my dude.
That's basically how you solve that problem. If there was a Star Wars fighting game and you had to choose the first character on that roster, who would that person be? Obi-Wan.
Specifically, Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
Yes!
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And
hands down.
he's coming for the movies.
I don't know how I feel about that. But that's if we need to start a gauntlet of movies, then we can do that and we can talk about Star Wars movies.
That's a gauntlet. A gaming gauntlet.
Stop that.
I'm gonna snap you out of existence with this gauntlet of gaming.
Most people do.
Oh, stop with the self-deprecation, gosh darn it. We're better than this. Alright, well, anyways, this has been the Gauntlet of Gaming. My name is Malik.
Not Francis.
I'm John.
Santiago.
We're gonna go shoot somebody in Battlefront eventually. So, with that being said, remember that these hands are rated E.
Or everyone.
Oh gosh.
May the force be with you.
And remember that we've always got a bad feeling about this.
We always got a bad feeling about this.
It'd be like that all the time.
It do be like that all the time.
We have catchphrases.
But if there's anything that's more important than anything we've ever said, Misa wants to play more Star Wars. Bye bye.
Oh boy.
Gosh.